actually start the race and my cat is also ready, and we're going. Well, at least Forever is going. We will soon have the sync also. So yeah, neutral ending Undertale. So it's the shortest one of all the categories that we have. And what the people are doing right at the beginning is the so-called piano mashing that we're doing, because in the version that they're using, it's actually that you can use set and enter to actually confirm the text boxes, and X and Shift you can use to advance the text to the end of the current text box. So by mashing this in a certain pattern, you can actually skip the text boxes rather fast. Also, the first area is pretty much the only area where you have a certain amount of random encounters that you have to deal with. So there are certain encounters that you cannot actually predict. There's
There's what, something like 4 random encounters possible in the ruins, if your movement is optimal.
Yeah, the most randomness is pretty much right after this section. There can be one. Then in the next room can also be an encounter, and then there will be the ruin puzzle, where you can actually encounter random fights. So both of them were able to get past this without any encounter. Yeah, we'll always have one encounter here. So sometimes it's just before the telephone call or after the call, but you always have one encounter here. There will be another encounter here. The best thing that you can actually have would be if you get the mode small, because you can actually, like Forever had, so you can actually spare it instead of having the flee animation. Also pressing the mouse for good luck. They're also now already at Napsapluk. That's, you could call it a little mid-boss fight, and to be done with, or to do the fight as fast as possible against Napsapluk, you are going to cheer him on 4 times, and he's only attacking you once if you do it correctly, and the rest is just, yeah, meme attacks. So this is the part where we were talking about. Here you can have the most random encounters of the match. So you can actually have 1 encounter per room. Isaiah had 1, and if Forever doesn't have 1, he also have 1. So they're on the same page right now.
So the fight with Toriel is coming up, and that also has a lot of RNG in it, probably the most RNG in the game. You're hoping for Toriel to attack you with her paws. If you run into one of her paws, the turn will end immediately. You can get up to 8.
Forever can also catch up to him now if Isaiah isn't getting any hands and Forever is getting all of them. He can pretty much catch up to him really fast now. You want to have these hand attacks because if you bump into those hands, the attack turn is done immediately. Right now, they're not really lucky, both of them. Yeah, Isaiah just had his first hand attack.
I've counted 5 for Isaiah so far.
Yeah. And Isaiah's already done with the fight against Toriel. He had a little bit luck at the end with the hands. Forever got his 2 hands too now. There we go. So Isaiah's already on his way to be done with the ruins and about to enter Snowdin.
Snowdin is generally just a test of one's mashing abilities. There aren't really any tricks for it, it's just optimal movement. Well, apart from the puzzle, I suppose.
Yeah, there are puzzles, and there is mostly just the mashing. So in general, you can split the neutral run into 2 sections or 2 phases. The first phase would be the non-PCE phase, the non-patch cut exploits phase, and the second phase will be when you get the punch cut, which is the item when it comes down to using wrong warps, skips, out of bound moves. We're going to explain it a little bit later before we going to reach this point. But for now, it's mainly mashing. You can say that the ruin parts are more the random part. The Snowdin part is where you can actually show off your mashing, or where you make save most of the time by your mashing skills. And then from the start where you get the punch cut, the second phase starts where you have the execution phase, you could say.
Right, Isaiah could get a phone call here. That'll cost him time. Yep, there you go. The phone call is random. 10% chance to get it, I think.
Yeah, it's 1 out of 10 that you get it. So they both switch to the tough glove. The reason is that they get the stick, which they were holding up until now as a weapon, and you can actually use the stick to finish all the dogfights in one turn by using the stick. So this saves a lot of time.
No phone call for forever.
So next up is the Dog and Me Dog Arrested fight. And again, he's using the stick to actually finish this in one round. There is the possibility to actually skip the whole fight if you go into the fight with encounter at the same time, but that's right now only possible with by doing it with Taz. So it's not really a useful strategy for normal runs.
So you have to be careful with your inputs here. If you're too fast, you'll say yes to the understanding, the explanation, and you'll lose, what, 6 seconds?
You lose a couple of seconds, yes, because it's faster if you tell him no, you don't understand what's going on, because then he's just laying down the paper for you to read, and he just cuts the scene of making the puzzle is not active.
And there you just saw one possible route through the ice puzzle to get it done extremely quickly.
Yeah, Isaiah is already doing the great dog fight. Again, he's using the stick to be done in one round. If he's lucky, he even gets the sleeping dog attack, which will be even faster then, because you can just bump into him. So many good boys. And on Forever stream, you can see the second version of the ice puzzle that you can do.
No menu buffer, impressive. This here forever gets the sleeping dog.
Yeah. Forever has the sleeping dog attack.
Nice.
Can save a couple of 1 or 2 seconds here.
So we're coming up on the Papyrus fight right now. The idea of doing Papyrus quickly is to lose to him 3 times as fast as you can. After that, he'll simply refuse to fight you.
Yeah, you just need to be careful not to activate a fourth fight accidentally. Oh, what did Isaiah do now? Oh, Isaiah accidentally went into the fighting menu. Because normally you just either act with the info or just use the stick. So that's not how you normally should do it. Normally you just go with the stick or the info options. Like I said, it's more the losing to him 3 times is way faster than doing the actual fight against him. As you can see in Forever's picture right now, he did it with the stick, I think, and that actually is way faster because then you don't have to do this extra lengthy attack scene where he's hitting you, so you turn blue. And Isaiah is coming up for the 3rd fight now.
That's right.
So Isaiah is done with the 1st fight. Now he needs to pay extra attention that he's not accidentally dueling Papyrus for a 4th time, because you need to say no when he's asking you if you want to do another fight. It's also one common section where people tend to slow down a little bit with the mashing.
Yes, the option is quite early in, if I recall.
Yeah.
There you go, you got it.
Isaiah got it. Now Forever is on the point 2, almost.
Yep. Now we're in the waterfall.
He says no. Perfect. So Forever is safe too now. And we are approaching the waterfall now. And it's pretty much a prelude before the punch card is coming up.
Lots of opportunities for optimal movement in the waterfall.
So I'm trying to explain the punch card in the meantime as simple as possible, because there is a really huge or a really technical description behind this. And in general, like we said, the punch card is our main source of skip stuff, doing out of bounds moves, doing wrong warps, skipping boss fights, cutscenes, and whatsoever. And the punch card acts as a mean to manipulate a global range value that's in the game code. And this value is called interact. So when you're doing interactions with stuff, like you opening up the menu, you interacting with a cutscene, you are using something, every one of these single interactions is giving this global range value a number. And with the punch card, we can manipulate this number. So we are able to actually walk in cutscenes or don't trigger certain cutscenes, and boss fights. With this, we can also wrong warp. So pretty much, this is what the punch card is doing. So it changes the global interact value, so we can move or skip cutscenes and perform the glitches that we use in this run. That's a simple version now I explained. There's a much more detailed version. If you're interested, just come on Discord. We have this for you. That's a really, really detailed version what the punch card is exactly doing. So, yeah, you can actually manipulate those spares from Undyne. And
both our runners got hit once. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but you can actually manipulate it. So if you're pressing down, for instance, or Undyne is trying to, if you put it like, she's trying to intercept you by throwing the spares into the direction that you are pressing the button right now. So if you're pressing up, she's going to aim it a little bit, aim it higher than she would normally do. So she actually reads out the player's inputs so she can throw spears into your direction. And Isaiah is grabbing the punch card right now.
Time for the fireworks to start.
Yeah. So in general, you can say there are always, when you're interacting with a cutscene, there's always a trigger point or a trigger line. You can say when you cross this line, then you are in a cutscene. And with the punch card, you can actually enter this or step over this line, but move freely afterwards. And normally you have an visual trigger or a visual guide for you, so you can say, okay, there is the line for the cutscene. In the case of Onion Sands, since everything is pretty plain looking and you only have this small black stripe where you're walking, you need to listen to this acoustic trigger that you have, this splashing sound of Onion Sands appearing. Yes.
The hardest one to hit in the run.
Isaiah has not done it because if you're not careful enough and not fast enough with putting away the punch card, you actually softlock yourself here. Forever did it, and he's now catching up to Isaiah with this because Isaiah lost a good 10 seconds here to Onion Sands now with the cutscene. And by pressing up and down in the 2D sections, like this is right now, you can actually move faster.
Another dodgy PCE. Isaiah's got it. The cutscene skip.
Yeah, Isaiah just skipped the whole second part of the cutscene part where Undyne is preparing for the second round of spear attacks. Let's see if Forever is able to go into.
Like the previous attacks, it's very possible to manipulate these spears.
Yeah.
I found it a lot easier.
Forever actually accidentally went into the trigger without opening up the menu. So he's going to lose a couple of seconds again. So in the meantime, I can explain. The people already did it. The runners already did it. It's a so-called wrong warping. In Undertale, it refers to, one might say, confusing the game, but it's it's for us to spawn a different spot in the next room when you're entering it. Because if you manipulate the interact global value again, after the start of a transition and before you actually spawn into the next room, you can make you can skip the code that spawns in the next room correctly, and instead that the game tries not to crash, you could say, and it puts you on a specific location, so from which you can start moving again.
As long as you don't soft lock yourself.
Yeah, that's wrong warping is the tech or the thing that the runners learn the last, because you can soft lock at any wrong warp. Next up is also Isaiah is already encountering is Mad Dummy. Mad Dummy, he tries to probably do the 5-round Mad Dummy, because Mad Dummy is divided in 2 phases. The first one is where you can actually hurt him or attack him with his own attacks, and the second one is where you just need to evade. Right now, Isaiah is trying to get a 5-round Mad Dummy by doing, I forgot the number. I think it's 132 damage. I forgot the number now. But he's by efficiently standing at certain points, he can attack Mad Dummy with a lot of his own attacks and force him to do. Yeah, he got the 5-round Mad Dummy, so he's already in the second phase.
You can hit him with the homing missiles, but it doesn't affect the fight at all.
That will not be a 5-round for forever. Also to note, a lot of runners die to Mad Dummy because sometimes you happen to get into this fight and have already low health because you were hit somewhere beforehand, and the last attack of Mad Dummy can be a little bit tricky, and if you have a horrible pattern, you can accidentally hit one of the rockets and die.
Bad times. So coming up we have the dark rooms.
Yeah, the dark rooms is the little puzzle again in the waterfall section, with the upcoming hardest trick in the whole run, the so-called wooden dine.
Ah yes. Absurdly complicated. We'll explain that further when we get there. As you can see, it's possible to walk on the paths if you know where they are. No need to activate the mushrooms.
So since the skip is almost soon upon us on Isaiah's, oh yeah, there will always be a Tammy. Hoi. And we have the so-called Undyne battle is coming up soon, where both of the runners probably will try to go for the so-called one dine. And what makes this skip so hard is that you have to do 3 punch card skips in a really short amount of time. So you have 2 cutscene triggers that you need to do, and you need to do 1 wrong warp, and all that in a short amount of time. Actually, that's what it makes it so hard.
Yes. You have something like 5 seconds to do all of that. The wrong warp does allow you a bit of leeway. It's easier to position than other wrong warps, but the amount of time you have to do that positioning makes it extremely difficult.
That's also the reason why new runners normally go for not doing the cutscene skip, the first one, and just do the second one and then do the wrong warp because they have enough time. But if you want to go for a fast one dyne, then you do this free PC skip. So we're coming up to this now on Isaiah's side. And he didn't get it. He saved himself by going inside, so what he didn't got was the wrong warp. So he got the cutscene skips, but not the wrong warp. And he's going to go for the wrong warp now. Forever got into the cutscene, sadly. You also normally try to stand still at the W that's showing up in the second room. Because if you're encountering Undyne on this one section, you can actually run to the end of the room without being challenged again. Because if you are a bit further ahead, you actually get a bit pulled back, or the standing of the characters is a bit different, and Undyne can actually catch up to you again before you can leave the room. So also the only kill will happen now. People will kill Vulcan, so they can advance to level 4.
Hotland generally is full of some very fun skips. By using the punch card as you're approaching a vent, you can move out of bounds. We'll see that a few times. Just did.
That was a really close one. It's down to 1 HP. If he would have gotten hit another time, he can actually start all over. Because I don't think he saved after... Did he save after Undyne? I have no idea. Somewhere now? I don't think he saved because he would have had full health. So if he would have gotten hit again, he would have started before Undyne. Yeah, what he did now is a double PC, a double text storage, because there are 2 triggers here. You actually have 2 cutscenes inside the Metaton cooking show, and you need 2 text boxes so you can advance both cutscenes. I skipped both cutscenes. And because he skipped Metaton, what it does is that actually lose your menu, so you have to go back to the hotlands where you can get your menu back. You kind of can say that the game gets resetted, or I don't know if you can say resetted, but you actually get your menu back again. You need to hit a certain trigger to get the menu back, actually. So doing the pick up your phone, skip. Coming up next already is the news skip. And the news skip is a little bit one of the harder tricks, because you actually need to count your steps, because you're in a pitch black room and you don't see the visual, you don't actually see where the trigger is. So you normally count 7 steps and then start mashing the punch cut to skip the news. Okay, Saya got it? Again, because we skipped Metaton, he needs to get his menu back again. Coming up next is the North South skip. You normally would have to do 2 puzzles in the north and in the south section of this area, but by going out of bounds, or by going out of bounds, you can actually skip this, because at the first one you can actually jump. You can jump to a board where you normally have to reach by going a detour, but you can reach it actually by doing a little bit boost with the punch cut. And the second one is an out of bounds move, and by going into the back of the door, you actually hit the trigger that spawns you into the next room. And Isadin got the skip, and he reloaded because it's faster than doing the whole news stuff. And Isaiah got the opera skip.
Yes, that's extremely important.
Yeah, that's
you lose multiple minutes if you don't hit that skip. So what Isaiah is doing now is activating the core cutscene before he goes down to get his menu back, as you need to trigger that cutscene to be able to come back to right 3, the floor.
Yeah, the thing is that the game, there's normally a trigger that says, or tells the game that you've done the cutscene with Metaton, actually. So it does activate the R3 for the elevator. And interesting enough, by going into the core and hitting the cutscene with the magic duo, you actually get that trigger. So there are two possible approaches to do the skip that Isaiah did in the laser room. So there's one where you actually hit the cutscene at the beginning, then you run into the first lasers and do the laser attack, and then just skip the room. Or you can also punch cut exploit the fifth laser before the cutscene is actually starting, and then just walk through the room. What Isaiah is doing is the so-called snowy core, by going back all the way and use the elevator up to Metadon. It's if you're doing it correctly and wrong with every room, you actually can save a couple of seconds. He probably also tried to skip the office cutscene here now.
Forever just got Metaton's musical skip.
Yeah. And was he in the? I didn't take a look now, but was he in the core?
He didn't activate the cutscene.
He did not get. Yeah, he did not, and that's what happens when you don't hit the cutscene. Yeah, that's unfortunate now. He forgot to go into the core first to activate the trigger. So in the meantime is already reaching the home, and the monster story will start soon. You can in total skip 2 monster story parts,
including a wrong warp. I think it's a total of 3.
Yeah,
so don't quote me.
He didn't get that one, the first one. You can skip this one by actually grabbing a text box, go a little bit back into the door and go out again, so you can actually skip this. And the second one is a wrong warp in the basement.
Forever has missed the first cutscene here, but you can.
He's, as we said, he got the second one. So, in general, this would be the safer one because you don't. If you're on low health or anything, you cannot dodge the lasers because you don't trigger them. Yeah.
So yeah, if you overflow this puzzle, you can move around while you're doing it, which can help you get out of the room faster. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, he probably went out too early. You need to wait a little bit for the puzzle to actually register that the puzzle has been done. In the meantime, Isaiah's soon in the judgment room, and we'll do another punch cut skip there by skipping the judgment of Sand.
Indeed. Followed by 3 wrong warps.
Yeah, the so-called Rombo combo.
Forever grabbing a safety save. But he gets it first time.
Okay, so I got the judgment skip. Going out, going for the first wrong warp. Second and third. Okay, why did he quit now? Did he softlock himself? Strange things are happening.
Quite.
Ah, there he is again. So Asker, he's going to use the burn pan that he picked up earlier as a weapon, because if you are able to hit the burn pan, the attack patterns directly in the middle, you get the so-called quad damage. The quad damage is around 340, if I remember correctly, around 340 to 350 damage, and that's almost a double of a normal critical attack that you're doing. That was a normal with 100, normal critical attack with 185. It's really frame perfect. You have like one frame to the left and to the right where it can actually be a bit off, but it's frame perfect to hit in the middle.
Which is why a perfect Asgore is called Tazgore. Which is what, 10 turns?
I think it's 10 times. 10 times? I think it's 10 times. I'm really bad with numbers. It's 9 turns. One of the first people that actually were able to achieve a task were TGH and Xandat, back then. But there was a considerable amount of practice before they were able to pull this off. So in general, Forever could still catch up if Isaiah is dying, especially now, because Isaiah is close to the judgment room, and should Isaiah die at the very end, he could still actually catch up to him. Close call, but he got it.
So we have Flowey coming up. Flowey is mostly an auto-scroller.
Yeah, Photoshop Flower is the last boss of the neutral ending, and the purpose of Photoshop Flower is to be a bit more. It should look actually more difficult than it actually is. It's like I said, pretty much an auto scroller. You can die, but in the soul phases you can actually recover your health and also cannot die there. So yeah, but the fight itself.
Forever got his wrong once in his judgment skip.
The fight itself is designed to look really difficult at the beginning. Yeah, so Photoshop Flower. So come up is in the first soul phase, and by looking at the way the knives are flowing, are going to, you can actually see where the egg button is coming up.
While you can't die on the soul phases, it can be beneficial to avoid damage because you can't get a full heal on all of them.
Yeah, there are certain phases where you can actually get a little bit stressed out from the attacks and get hit often. So you actually try to get as much health as possible in the soul phases.
As you can see, Flowey does in fact abuse save states. Forever has taken down Asgore. During this phase, it's entirely random which side the act button will come out of.
It's always in the second row, but either on the left or right side.
Yeah, and the side guesses correctly. Nice. On this phase, it's very easy to get heal to full, so you can just tank all the hits.
Yeah, so Isaiah's almost done with the first phase of the Flowey fight. Flowey is split into two phases. The first one is where you have to evade all of his attacks, and the second one is where you can actually fight him. So what he's doing now in the last soul phase is when the gun is shooting at him, and as soon as the healing items are shot out, he can actually shut down the game or close the game and reopen it, so he can actually skip the cutscene for the full heal or for the interlude before Flow is going all out.
Indeed. And as you saw, if you move far or further away from the gun, it does shoot quicker.
And it's reaching phase 2 of Flowey. It's possible to die to... Wait, did they just die to... Oh my god. Yeah, so Isaiah just died to Flowey. And... So... He's starting the whole second phase again, pretty much. So if he's dying once more, then actually Forever has still a chance to win this, because he's... Damn.
Left side button for forever. Good guess.
Going to be interesting now. If you can make it.
That's it. Sire is
Okay.
taken down Flurry.
He's done. He's done. So yeah, that death was actually unfortunate, but he still got it. Because if he would have died again, then Forever would have gotten a good chance to move past to catch up to him.
Forever has ended phase 2.
He's done with the fly fight. And
so after the screen goes white here, you can move before the screen comes up to the fight button and save a second or two.
Yeah, and as soon as the first words of flower is coming, he can actually quit out and go in again to save a couple of seconds again. And time is when he's hitting the door. Way. Yeah, now is it. And that's a win for Sire. So Forever is almost done too.
And he's got it.
And Forever is done too. So just a cutscene, the ending cutscene. And that's done too with Forever.
Good stuff.
All right. So, with that, Isaiah won, and will advance into the third round, where he will either face off PVC or the Josh. Match will be, I think it's no, it's not scheduled for now, but it will be probably soon. So we'll see who is going to face off soon. And just wait for them for the interview, maybe, if they're coming in. We have another match coming up really soon on Speed Gaming 3.
Which is this channel?
Yeah, which will be Galactic versus Geodasher, and it will be in about 15 minutes or so, so stay tuned. Forever, hey.
Hi there.
Hello.
Yeah, sadly you had some throwbacks.
Yeah.
The new skip didn't work well for you. So did the first one done skip.
Had a lot of issues with those. I think it was mostly just nerves. This is the first time I've done a race on speed gaming, so. But overall, other than those major mistakes, I think it was a good run.
It was still a good one. You almost were able to catch up because Isaiah died to Flowey.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so you were actually able to almost catch up to him.
Yeah, I noticed he finished a lot later than I thought he would. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
So yeah, is Isaiah coming? I have no idea.
I don't
but
think
yeah.
he is.
Yeah. Then yeah, sadly, you advance to the loser bracket, but you still have a lot of chances to actually win this, maybe.
Yeah, I was looking at the bracket. I think I have a chance to play some more races at least.
Yeah, it's either against Pokemon or against the loser of 6 against PVC or the Josh, depending on who's going to win it. But yeah, thank you for the race.
Me.
Sadly, you didn't win, even though you are the winner in our hearts, because you have a more lag-free stream than a certain winner. And thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
like we said, the next race is coming up really soon. That will be Galactic versus Geodasher. And we'll see you guys soon again. Thanks for stopping by, and yeah,
Take
bye-bye
care.
for now.
Bye-bye.